All right, you guys. So we are to the day where we're going to be actually starting to draw out and design our very own Eye of the Dragon. So let's chat about a few things first. Because there's a lot of this is going to be on the computer that we're chatting about, I'm going to transition what the screen looks like. And I just want you guys to remember what you're about to see is all available to you. It's all in Buzz. So go ahead into this project in Buzz, flip through the slides if you want to see it a little bit clearer, or be able to click on any links or things like that. Okay, so here we go. So step one is we're going to plan out and lightly draw the eye of the dragon, so like the actual shape itself. So when we're looking at these examples that I have here, you can see that some of them are very almond shaped. The one on the upper right hand corner with lots of like black in the eye kind of reminds me of like a salad bowl with a little pouring spout. Some look angry, some look tired. So how you shape your dragon's eye is going to add to its personality. So feel free to look at my examples here. Look at examples, get inspired by books or movies or just doing a search on the internet. And I want to remind you too that you should never feel guilty about looking around for inspiration in the world around you. That's like what every artist does, is they're inspired by the world around them. Even for me, I very rarely, if ever, will draw just straight out of my head with no inspiration. I find that I just do a much better job when I look at something else. So feel free to do that as well for you. I'm going to kind of scroll ahead here one. So the next slide in Buzz is actually going to kind of show you a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all the steps. And they can go in different orders. But one thing I did want to point out, so once you've got your shape, like in number 1 here, the next thing to consider is, and I want you guys to look in the mirror, like actually look at yourself, look at where your skin, your eyelid meets your eye, and notice that there's thickness there, isn't there? The skin isn't super thin. And so in step 2, you can see that that's been drawn out, that there's that thickness of the skin where it meets the eye. So drawing kind of like that double line almost is going to help add some reality, some realism to your drawing. So from there, you can either start drawing the pupil next, or the scales and spikes and flourishes next. So you can see in steps 3 through 5, really, they've added in a bunch of different shapes and sizes of scales, and that helps to give some more texture. But once again, you could add other things too. Maybe your dragon has some eyelashes or spikes or feathers or spots or stripes. So this is your Eye of the Dragon, and you get to customize it how you want it to look. Really, we want to make sure that we've got something going on around the outside of the eye though, because we really want to make sure that we've got lots of different opportunity to create gradients, right? Our color gradients, because that is the standard that we're focusing on for this project. Can we make different color gradients? So we want to have lots of different spaces where we can kind of show off those skills once we get a little further into the project. So once again, lots of scales and or feathers or stripes, whatever you come up with for yours, but those are going to go around the outside of your eye. Then of course, getting to the inside of the eye, we're going to be making the pupil itself. Now for human eyes, we have circular pupils, right? For cats, there's our circular until it gets really sunny. Then there's turns into kind of like a slit right down the center of their eye. Goats have pupils that kind of look like a rectangle. So, but this is a dragon and it's mythological and you get to choose what you want it to look like. So the one here kind of looks like almost like a sun with beams shooting out of it, right? So it's kind of cool. One thing I want you to notice too, do you see how in the center or towards the center of the pupil, you can see almost like a star shape in there? That's the highlight of the eye. And so we want to make sure, whether yours has 1, 2, 3, 5, we want to make sure we reserve some white space for the highlight. And that can be in the pupil and in the iris or just in the pupil. It's kind of up to you. But if you've ever seen like anime before, you've seen where there's like big round white spots, like bubbles that are left, and that's the highlight. And that's going to just add life to your to the eye, to your dragon. All right, popping back to that other page then. So once again, we want to, and actually, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to make my screen smaller because we kind of got to see everything that we needed to. So let me transition back so you can kind of see me and see what I've got going on. So the first thing that I did was I drew the outline. I kind of tried something different here for this one. So I drew that outline. I drew the double line to kind of add the thickness of the eyelid, right? Then I chose to do the pupil next, and I chose to do kind of a cat eye, a slit one, and add in 3. I added 3 for this one, round highlights to reserve those as white space. And now I want you guys to notice this too. You're going to be lightly drawing. Notice on mine, like I drew really dark, and you can see, because I drew dark, you can see that eraser line. I have to draw dark though, otherwise you're not going to see it on camera, right? So anyway, but as a reminder, you guys want to make sure you're holding your pencils very lightly so that when you have to erase something, you're not going to see that, that ghost line. And then my next step was I started on the scales. Okay, so I just got to start on it today. We're going to finish that tomorrow. So that's, if you kind of look at where we're at and where we're going, you should have a start on this. We don't need to have it completely finished. Tomorrow we will finish the scales and the whatever flourishes around the outside. We'll need our permanent marker tomorrow as well, so keep that in mind. And have some fun, right? Like find some inspiration around you, get creative, try things out, and just remember, like just because you're drawing a copy right now, that doesn't have to be your final copy. So if you realize like, not really digging this, not feeling it, boom, there's a back side, you guys. And worst case, let's say you're drawing here and you're like, not really digging that either. Grab a new piece of paper. So if you want to start off on scratch paper, not your nice drawing paper that came in our kit, you could do that too. But I just wanted to remind us all that this is about building skill, and sometimes when we make mistakes, we learn even more from them, and so that's okay. That's okay to do that. And the first one we start doesn't need to be our final one. So you have that permission to fail, like we talked about before. Try things out, get creative, have some fun. See you tomorrow.